Hello to all my friends and family, and welcome to Jim's 5am Club. It's an overcast day today. It's overcast, it's a little bit blowy, and it's quite cool. So quite interesting for a spring day. So because it's breezy, what I'll do is I'll just stay under cover here just to protect the sound, just so that we don't get the static coming through the mic. So rather than go on a long walk and talk, I'll just do a bit of a stroll around wharf number 6 here at Circular Quay. And what I'd like to do today is just take you through a book summary that I covered about a year ago. And the book is entitled 10% Happier, and it's written by an author known as Dan Harris. So a very interesting book about just assessing yourself, doing an inventory and stock take of how you're feeling and what you can do better, and a few life hacks that can be useful to try and improve our experiences and how we see the world, and to make us, I guess, less stressed, less anxious. And the ultimate from this book is to make us maybe 10% happier. So anything we can do to make us happier, even if it's only 10%, is something that is a worthy sort of cause, I suggest. But the book kicks off with the topic of ego, and helping us understand the reason for our unhappiness in the first place, or the challenges that we face, or the forewinds that come across our path and disrupt our solemnness and our calmness. And what he does is he touches on another author from another book, Eckhart Tolle, who talks about ego and is considered to be an authority on the topic of ego, especially during these modern days. And what the book does is it focuses a little bit on the problems that we face and why we face them, and the voice that we have in our head, the voice which is a product of ego. I'll just get down because it's a bit windy. So the voice that we have in our heads, which the author suggests is a product of ego, where we're constantly labeling things and judging things around us, and raising our awareness so that we understand that ego is something which is never ever satisfied. So if you're driven by ego, then chances are that you're never going to be satisfied, because you're always judging, you're always labeling, and the ego is constantly comparing yourself to other people, and you've got that inner conflict which is constantly happening in your life and disrupting your peace and calm. So he goes on to talk a little bit more about ego from Eckhart Tolle's perspective, and he says that the ego, and this is a brilliant point, I love this point, the ego is obsessed with either the past or the future. And that obsession is done at the expense of the present. Have a think about that. Our egos are focused more on what has happened in the past or what's going to happen in the future, and does not allow us to enjoy and indulge in the present. What a concept that is. How liberating is it to see that if you're living in the past or the present, then you're always going to feel as if you're missing out on something. So he also says that we live exclusively, especially in these days and times, we live exclusively on memory or anticipation. So we're obsessed with the past and the future at the expense of the now. And by living like that, by having that focus, the suggestion from these authors is that we're living in continual stress because we're clinging on to things from the past and we're trying to capture things in the future. But the past is no longer with us and the future is no longer with us. So we're always going to be tormented. We're always going to be tormented because we're never going to be able to grab and hold on to anything because it's in a different time and space. He also talks about a quote from Mark Epstein, which is very apt, and I love this one here as well. So hear me out, listen to this one here, because I'm sure you'll love it as well. As Mark Epstein observed, it's like we're hunting around our plates for the next bite before we have tasted what is already in our mouths. So by living in the past, by clinging on to the past, or by being too busy looking and searching into our future and anticipating our future, we're actually missing out on and losing our present. So there's a call to action here, and there's a call to action to focus on our present and make the most of our now. The author then kicks off to say something very profound and something which is life-changing to those who want to examine their lives a little deeper. And he mentions that the pursuit of happiness becomes the source of our unhappiness because we're always searching for something, whereas our happiness really is in our present moments to make the most of what is here and now. I remember somebody telling me years ago, if you're not happy where you currently are, then you're not going to be happy wherever else you want to travel to. You've got to be able to find peace, tranquility, enjoyment with the pareo that you're currently with the location that you're currently at, because beauty is everywhere. You know, and if you're always looking for happiness and fulfillment somewhere else, then that somewhere else will never appear. It'll always be that uncatchable or unapproachable destination. The author also raises an important point, another important point, that we shouldn't focus on the if only I did this, or if only I did that, because all that does is it makes you feel unfulfilled, it makes you feel empty, and you're never ever going to know the outcome of your if only. Because the only life we can live, the only outcomes that we can enjoy are the present ones that we have. And if you're always comparing your present situation to if only I did this, or if only I took that road, or if only I said that, you know, yes, you may have changed the outcome, you may have arrived at a different destiny, but you may not have been, or you may not be fulfilled or happy. So you've got to be fulfilled and happy with the now, and not to tie yourself too closely to outcomes. Otherwise, you may always be disappointed. The author also talks about the importance of not reacting, not overreacting, but responding to the things that happen in our lives. Because by reacting, you take ownership of your reaction. And your reaction is based on somebody else's stimulus and not your own. But if you respond, if you have time to think and compare and contrast the situation to your values and to your goals, and to try and align it to your values and goals, then you're going to be in a better position to feel fulfilled, because you're responding. You're doing it based on your terms, based on your rules, and based on what you want to achieve, as opposed to what other people and other situations call upon you to do. The author also reminds us to be mindful. Talks about mindfulness, and to be thinking about what you're doing, and to live in the present moment, and not to be enticed or seduced or tricked into trying to live a moment in the future, or to try and fix something that's happened in the past, because that's a folly. You're not going to be able to do it, because, as we said before, it's outside of your control now. It's outside of your time zone. You can't control, or you can't change things that you can't control. And the final sort of messages to come out of this wonderful book is to make it a project, make it a goal to live with less anxiety. You know, we need a bit of juice in our life, fair enough. We need a bit of excitement, but that excitement shouldn't be anxiety, shouldn't be worry. We shouldn't be too tied to outcomes. And the final message to come from this wonderful book and this author is to worry less and be happy, to accept what's happening in your life, to change the things that you can change, but to accept and go with the flow with the things that you can't change, and to always look for the good in what you currently have around you, and not to be caught up in the past or overly focused on the future. We're not saying to not think of the past occasionally, and not to plan for your future, and not to learn from your past. But what we're saying is not to be obsessed by things that have happened in the past, and not to be too clingy and obsessed with what may come of your future, because the future is unknown. Nobody's been into the future. No matter how well you plan, no matter how well you're organised, your future is going to unfold in a way which is magical. Things are going to come your way that you didn't think possible, and things that you had taken for granted will be taken away from you. Now, that's just life. Anyway, I think that's enough for today. So let's finish up with a positive affirmation. I'm alive, I am well, and I feel absolutely great. To my friends and family, stay connected, stay relevant. And let's take a few messages from this wonderful book, 10% Happier, and to live with less anxiety, to live in the present moment, to do the most we can with what we've got and to not be obsessed with the past. Don't live in the past because the past is now gone. To learn from the past, but don't live in the past. And this is a big lesson for many people. And also, don't be too anxious and don't be too worried about the future. Just accept what comes your way and make the most of it. And to learn how to live in the eternal now, in the present, and make the most of it for not only yourself but also the people around you, and to remind the people around you to learn to enjoy the present moment, to smell the roses, to enjoy each other's company, and to be a wonderful person and a wonderful company to those around you. Anyway, take care, and I look forward to coming to you again tomorrow from another location with another message. And we'll just keep on going one step at a time and sharing these wonderful moments together and hopefully learning from each other's experiences so that we can grow, develop and make the most of our now, of this day, which will never ever come back again. Thank you once again for listening to me. Sasagapao, I love you, and we'll chat again soon. Bye for now.